At Coach Perry, we have worked with thousands and thousands of runners through our online training platform. And a very large number of those runners are women over 50. This is not just one coach sitting here with a few opinions. Our team includes highly qualified coaches, sports scientists, and coaches who have worked with everyday runners trying to stay injury-free all the way through to elite endurance athletes and Olympians. My own background is in sports science, endurance training, and women in sport. And I've spent years working with female runners who are trying to understand why running suddenly feels different, even though they are still showing up and doing the work. So when I say we studied 1,000 female runners over 45, we are talking about real women, real training logs, real patterns, and real frustrations that keep coming up again and again. The biggest pattern is this. The women who were struggling most were not usually the women who did not care. They were often very committed. They were running before work, fitting in sessions around family, doing long runs on tired legs, squeezing in strength where they could, and trying to follow the plan even when their body was clearly asking for a more serious conversation. But they kept saying the same things. I'm training, but I feel tired all the time. My easy pace has disappeared. I don't recover as I used to, or I feel fit, but whenever I try to get faster, something starts to hurt. And the question underneath all of that was, I'm doing what used to work, so why is it not working now? That is the question we are going to answer. Because after 45, training does not need to change because you are fragile, finished, or past your best. It needs to change because the inputs have changed. Hormones may be changing. Sleep may be changing. Muscles and bones need more support. Recovery may take longer. Stress might be higher. The way your body responds to intensity may not be the same as it was 10 or 15 years ago. And fueling matters more than many runners realize. So today, we are going to go deeper than the usual listen to your body, because that sounds lovely, but sometimes your body speaks in riddles and with sarcasm. We are going to break down why training needs to change now, what female runners over 45 often miss, and how to train in a way that still lets you chase goals without constantly feeling like you are one hard week away from fatigue, injury, and another forced break. The final piece is the one that explains why so many women can be doing almost everything right and still feel stuck. Before we get stuck in, if you're a female runner over 45 and you want training advice that actually understands this stage of life, make sure you subscribe. This channel is here to help keep you running, keep improving, and stop feeling like the only two options are push harder or accept that everything is downhill from here.
The first thing to understand is that the same training can have a different cost now. And this is where a lot of runners actually get confused. A 45-minute run can look exactly the same on the plan as it did years ago. It might be the same route, the same pace, the same shoes, the same watch, and the same little internal negotiation about whether you really need to start that early in the morning. But inside the body, the run may not be costing the same anymore. A pace that used to feel easy now might feel closer to a steady run. A harder session that used to sharpen you up might flatten you for 2 days. And a long run that used to build confidence might take half a week to recover from. That does not mean you are failing. And it does not mean that your body is just suddenly become unreliable. It means your training load is not just the workout written on the plan. Training load is the run plus everything else your body is carrying into that run. So when a female runner says, I don't understand, I only run 4 times a week, the answer might be yes, but your body did not only experience 4 runs. It experienced 4 runs plus 2 poor nights sleep, a stressful week at work, hormonal symptoms, a skipped lunch, a strength session that was placed badly in the week, and a long run that was meant to be easy but actually turned out to be more of a race pace against the clock. Your body does not put all of those stresses into separate folders. It adds them together. And this is why training after 45 needs to be based on cost, not just distance. Because if the cost is too high, the body will eventually make the decision for you, and it usually does that through fatigue, pain, illness, or little niggles that start whispering politely and then become very loud. That leads into the next piece, which is one of the biggest reasons the cost changes.
Let's talk about hormones, because this is where the conversation often goes wrong. Some runners hear hormonal shifts and feel like it means everything is doomed, while other runners go completely the other way and pretend hormones do not matter at all. Neither of those views are useful. Perimenopause and menopause are not the end of running, and they are not a reason to stop chasing goals, but they are real physiological transitions, and they can change the way the body feels and the way the body responds. For some women, this manifests through sleep disruption, mood changes, hot flushes, night sweats, cycle changes, joint aches, changes in energy, heavier fatigue after sessions, or a feeling that recovery is just not as predictable anymore. Not every woman has the same symptoms, and not every bad run is because of hormones. We don't want to blame hormones for everything, because that just becomes as unhelpful as ignoring them. But if your sleep has changed, your cycle has changed, your recovery has changed, your joints feel different, or your energy feels less predictable, that is not something to dismiss. That is training information. I like to think of it like the weather. If the weather changes, you don't need to cancel every run forever, but you also do not pretend it's not raining and then complain that you're soaked. You adapt, and training is the same. If your body is giving you different feedback, your plan needs enough flexibility to respond. That might mean more space between hard sessions, recovery weeks coming in a little sooner, strength training becoming more consistent, or speaking to a menopause-informed health professional if symptoms are affecting your daily life. The key point is that hormones are not an excuse. They are context, and context helps you make better decisions, but only if you are willing to adjust the plan instead of forcing through and hoping your body eventually agrees. Lindsay will cover one of the first places where adjustments usually need to happen.
One of the biggest mistakes we see in female runners over 45 is that their easy running is not really easy, nor is it as hard as the hard stuff. That might sound like a small difference, but it's huge. An easy run should really help build aerobic fitness without taking too much from the body. It should support the weak, leave you feeling like you could do a little more, and help you arrive at the harder sessions with enough energy to actually do them well. But a lot of runs turn easy runs into a low-level fitness test without meaning to. They check the pace, compare it to last week, compare it to what they used to run, and if it looks a little slower than what they want, they press just enough to feel reassured. Not a lot, not a full workout, just enough to move the run into a place that taxes the muscles more than it should. And that is where the trouble starts, because now the run is no longer easy enough to help recovery, but it is not hard enough to give the benefits of a proper session. It just becomes another thing the body has to recover from. The run feels productive because you are working, the pace looks respectable, and you get home sweaty. The watch gives you a nice little summary as if it has not just encouraged bad behavior. But if you do that too often, the whole week becomes one long medium effort. Easy days are not easy. Hard days are not sharp. Long runs feel heavy, and recovery never quite catches up. So the change here is simple, but not easy emotionally. Easy runs need to be judged by purpose, not ego. If the purpose is recovery, it should help you recover. If the purpose is aerobic support, it should feel calm and repeatable. And if you finish an easy run and everyone in your house knows not to speak to you for 30 minutes, that wasn't easy. That was a workout in disguise. Once you become honest about easy running, the next question is whether your body is strong enough to handle the running you are asking it to do. Because after 45, running by itself does not give the body the support it needs. Strength training improves balance, helping your muscles, tendons, bones, hips, and calves tolerate running better. And it is one of the biggest drivers of consistency. So, if you know you should be doing strength, but you are not sure where to start, we've created a free strength training program for female runners over 45. You can scan the QR code on the screen or use the link in the description. It is simple, practical, and designed to support your running without leaving your legs feeling like wet cement for 3 days. Stay with us, because the strength is only one part of the picture. The next part affects energy, recovery, injury risk, and performance, but many female runners still treat it like an optional extra.
Fueling has to be part of this conversation because a lot of females over 45 are trying to train, recover, build strength, support bone health, manage stress, and get through very full lives while not eating enough. Sometimes that is intentional. Sometimes it's old diet culture that's still hanging around like an annoying relative who just refuses to leave. And sometimes it's just simply the chaos of life. Breakfast becomes coffee, lunch becomes something eaten while standing up, and then you go for a run and wonder while your legs feel like they've been replaced with damp cardboard. Here's the real talk. Fuel is not a reward for running. Fuel is a part of training. If you want your body to adapt, it needs materials. Carbohydrates help fuel the work. Protein helps repair and maintain muscle. And eating enough helps your body recover from what you are asking it to do. Low energy availability is not just feeling a bit hungry. It means that after exercise has taken its share, there is not enough energy left for the body to properly support health, recovery, and performance. That can affect energy, mood, hormones, immunity, bone health, recovery, and performance, which is why it needs to be taken seriously by female runners. So if you are constantly tired, getting injured, struggling to recover, craving sugar at night, feeling cold, losing your cycle if you still have one, or feeling flat all the time, fueling needs to be a part of that investigation. Not with shame, but with curiosity. Because you cannot ask a builder to renovate a house and then refuse to deliver the bricks. Training breaks the body down, and fueling plus recovery help build you back up. That is not indulgence. That is just how adaptation works.
Let's go deeper into strength, because this is one of the biggest changes after 45. Strength is not just a nice extra. It is not just something you only do when you're injured or motivated. It is infrastructure. Running is repetitive. Every stride loads the feet, calves, knees, hips, muscles, tendons, and bones. And if those tissues are strong and prepared, they tolerate the load. If they are not, every run costs more than it should. This is where some female runners say, "My fitness is fine, but my legs feel heavy." It is like driving a car with soft tires. The engine may still work, but everything feels heavier, slower, and less efficient. Around the menopause transition, bone and muscle health become more important, which is another reason resistance training needs to be taken seriously at this stage. That does not mean you need to live in the gym, become a power lifter, or start filming yourself doing complicated exercises with names that sound like IKEA. It means 2 to 3 short, well-placed strength sessions each week can make a real difference for many runners. Calves, glutes, hamstrings, quads, hips, and core all matter. But the key is not to do everything at once and then limp around for 4 days. You need simple movement, progress gradually, placed intelligently, and repeated consistently. Strength should support your running, not destroy it. If your strength session ruins your next 2 runs, the answer is not that strength is bad. It is that the dose, timing, or progression needs adjusting, which is where many runners actually miss the mark, because even the right ingredients can fail if they're built in the wrong order.
This is exactly why we created the Running Through Menopause Masterclass, Because most female runners over 45 do not need someone to tell them to work harder. They're already working hard. What they need is a structure that fits the body they have now. In the masterclass, we go deeper into how to manage easy running, intensity, strength, recovery, and weekly structure so you can keep building fitness without constantly feeling one step away from fatigue or injury. So if you're thinking, this is exactly what's been happening to me, use the link in the description or the QR code to join the free masterclass. One of the biggest shifts after 45 is that your week needs better spacing because a lot of runners have the right ingredients in the wrong order. They do intervals on Tuesday, strength on Wednesday, tempo on Thursday, and a long run on Saturday, then wonder why Sunday feels like a crime scene. On paper, the week looks organized. In the body, it feels like being chased by a bear for 4 days. Hard sessions need space. Long runs counter stress, strength counts as stress. Poor sleep counts as stress, and high life stress absolutely counts as stress. Your body doesn't care that one session was only strength or only 45 minutes. It adds up the total. This is why training after 45 often needs clearer separation. Easy days should be easy, hard days should be purposeful, and strength training should be placed where it supports the plan, and recovery should not be something you only do when everything has gone wrong. A good week is not just a list of sessions, it's a sequence. The order matters. If you stack stress too closely, you may still complete the week, but completing the week and adapting from the week are not the same thing. That is a crucial distinction because a lot of runners are surviving training and calling it consistency. But the goal is not to survive your training. The goal is to absorb it. And to absorb it, you have to notice the early signs that the body is not coping.
This is where experienced runners can get into trouble. Because if you've been running for years, you are probably quite good at pushing through discomfort. That can be useful at times, but it can also make you ignore the early messages. A niggle that keeps coming back in the same place, a pain that changes your stride, a tendon that warms up but never improves, a drop in motivation, easy runs that feel like effort, or fatigue that does not shift after an easier day are not signs that you need to toughen up. They are signs that the system is overloaded. And if you ignore these messages, the body eventually sends a louder one, usually something that ruins your month. After 45, you do not need to panic at every sensation, but you do need to respond earlier. That might mean adjusting the run, moving the session, taking an extra recovery day, cross-training, or getting proper help if something is not settling. Think of it like a smoke alarm. You do not wait until the kitchen is on fire before saying, maybe I should check that noise. Training is the same. Small changes made early can prevent long forced breaks later, which leads us to another factor affecting your training, because even if you understand hormones, fueling, strength, recovery, and structure, there is one belief that can still undo the whole process.
Lindsay is talking about consistency, and this is the one that catches so many committed runners because consistency is usually a good thing. Female runners love consistency, and they should, because consistency matters. But after 45, consistency cannot mean forcing the plan no matter what. That's just stubbornness wearing running shoes. Real consistency is staying healthy enough to train well for months, and that sometimes means doing the session exactly as written, slowing the easy run down, moving the workouts, shortening the run, or resting today so that you do not lose the next 3 weeks. That's not weakness, that's just really good coaching. And if you are self-coached, this becomes even more important because you are both the athlete and the person that has to make the decision. The athlete often wants to do the session because the athlete is attached to the goal, but the coach needs to ask whether that session is actually the right decision today. That is why a feedback system matters. Each week, ask yourself how your sleep is, whether there are any niggles that are repeating, whether you are recovering between sessions, whether you are eating enough, whether your easy runs are getting harder, and whether your mood or motivation is changing. Then ask the question every female runner over 45 should write down somewhere. Did this week build me, or did I just survive it? Because if you are only surviving training, something needs to change. And that does not mean you failed. It means your plan has useful information to respond to. So when we say training needs to change after 45, we're not saying your goals need to get smaller. We're not saying you cannot run faster. And we're definitely not saying your best days are automatically behind you. We're saying the plan has to match the body and life you have now. Training needs to account for hormonal shifts, sleep, fueling, strength, recovery, life stress, tissue tolerance, and the fact that the same session may not cost what it used to. That is not necessarily just a softer approach, it's just a more accurate one. When runners get this right, they often realize they were not as fit as they thought. They may have been under-recovered, under-fueled, under-strengthened, overloaded, or simply following a plan that no longer matched their reality. But this opens another important question, because even when female runners over 45 make these changes, many still feel like they have lost their speed. They can run, they can build endurance, and they can stay consistent, but the moment they try to get faster, something starts to hurt, or the body just does not respond. That is the next problem to solve. So watch this video next, because we are going to break down why female runners over 45 lose speed and how to start getting it back without turning every harder session into an injury risk.